Call the meeting to order. Can I have a move and a second to open the meeting? Councilor Pelletier, Councilor Framboise.
Moved by Councilor Pelletier and seconded by Councilor Framboise. Be it resolved, the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby opens the Committee of the Whole meeting at 6 p.m. on February 5, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Atikamek Anishinaabe. We also wish to recognize our neighboring community of Doki's First Nation. While we meet today, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our understanding of local Indigenous people and their culture. Can I have a move and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Councilor Loftus, Councilor Lachance.
Moved by Councilor Loftus and seconded by Councilor Lachance. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting held February 5, 2025 be adopted as presented.
All those in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, Councilor Framboise.
None, your worship.
Councilor Loftus.
None, your worship.
Councilor Pelletier.
None, your worship.
Councilor Lachance.
And your worship.
And none for myself. Announcements and inquiries from the public? No? Okay. From council?
For myself, I just want to refer to 6.61. The report titled NOHFC grant. We talk about, there's mention about the 2025 capital budget. Just wondering if we have info when budget talks will start. I know we spoke about having it early, and we're already in February, so.
Okay. I think we're looking at that maybe next.
Sometime in the next couple weeks, sir.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Councilor Loftus?
Nothing for me.
Councilor Pelletier?
None, your worship.
Councilor Lachance?
None for myself.
And none for myself either. Okay, we move on to item 6.1, Financial Committee Report to Council, a debenture for fire truck pumper. Pamela McCracken.
So as council is aware, in October we purchased our fire truck pumper. At that time we had discussed borrowing options. Council had asked that we approach a couple banks to get their interest rates to see if we can get any better. So applying with banks is a little bit more strict and require a lot more information. So by the time I gave them all their data, they needed our audited financial statements, including 2023. So those got done in December. So we were finally giving our price. They're willing to finance the full amount. I know that council had suggested that we only do the 600,000 full sum from reserves, but that is an option. Usually they only do 75%, but because of the financial situation that we're in, they feel confident in us, so they were willing to do 100%. So both the banks that we approached, they do terms. So again, you'd be locked in for that amount, and then at the end of that term, you would have the option to re-sign up, but then you'd be subject to whatever the interest rates are there. Whereas the Infrastructure Ontario, when you're locked in for whatever the term is at that rate. So if prices go up or down, you're locked in. So providing with the interest rates that are provided, Infrastructure Ontario is the lower one. So it is recommended that we go with that one. So just asking for staff, council to direct staff to start the paperwork for Infrastructure Ontario debenture.
Thank you very much. Councilor Framboise, questions?
So when we had maybe thought of taking from the reserve, how much was it?
So we would be taking the difference. It was 735 with the portion of the HST that we don't get. So we'd be taking the 135. Council had suggested 600,000 was the loan amount that they felt comfortable with over a 10-year period.
Any other questions?
None for myself.
Okay, Councilor Loftus.
No, I'm in agreement with your recommendation.
Okay, Councilor Pelletier.
I just had a question to just understand a little more. The amortizing and serial rates, what was that? Because I see obviously it's two different numbers or so.
Yeah, I asked that question and I don't remember, but if I can forward the email to council about what the two differences are.
And with Infrastructure Ontario, is there so we're going with the 10-year, I think it was, is what it was. and if, you know, something happens, I highly doubt that we could get a grant at one point in the future to, you know, pay that off, but if, we were to wanna pay out or something, is that still a possibility with that,
No,
or
not
no?
with Infrastructure Ontario. With the bank loans, you could after the term, so if we went with a 5-year term, and then if we didn't wanna renew, we could pay it off and pay off the balance there. If we didn't have the funds, we could sign up for another 5, 6, whatever, 2, they would go up to 10 years.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. I'm okay with going with Infrastructure Ontario. Thanks for doing the digging into other banks.
No problem.
Okay, Councillor Lachance.
Yeah, just curious, what's the, either way, I'm okay with going to Infrastructure Ontario, just curious what our accrued interest is over that period.
I'll have to run the numbers again, but they're gonna be slightly lower than what was presented the first time in October, because the interest rates have gone down. So I have to pull the report that was presented, and I can rerun the numbers, so that you know exactly what we'd be paying over the 10 years. I think we were around the 50-something thousand between principal and interest, so we'd be like slightly less than that, but I'll get you the specific numbers.
Okay, so are you also in favor of the recommendation for infrastructure?
Yeah, I just didn't know if we're meeting for the whole 10 year or just 5 or for the rate.
Oh, you're just wondering if you're going 5, 10, 15?
Well, it would be 5, we said we were gonna try for a 10 year loan, but I don't know if we're just locking in for 5 right now or if we're going for 10, or is that just the term for the whole amount?
For Infrastructure Ontario, you have to do the full term, so if we say 5 years, they're gonna amortize it over 5 years.
Alright. I'm okay with the 10 years, so.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, from myself also.
Okay, so, Infrastructure Ontario, it is. Next item 6.2, report to council, Service Ontario update. Tammy, go ahead.
This is just a little, for your information report. As everybody knows, we lost our Service Ontario clerk at the end of the year to retirement. Good for her. I had an extremely successful campaign for looking for a new replacement worker. There was a total of 46 resumes, made for a very difficult decision. 3 of those resumes did have prior Service Ontario experience. Several had other government experience. For transparency, the CAO and I both did the interviews. We interviewed 5. We would normally interview 3, but just because of the sheer numbers that we had, we did do 5. And chose a successful candidate after checking all the recommendations. She was supposed to start on Monday of this week, but due to illness, she started today. So yeah, we have our new person started, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll be back up to full speed and running hard.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
None for myself.
Loftus? Any?
No, it's great news.
Okay. Councillor Paté?
No, that's great, and I see now we had gotten our first, payment under the new service delivery, so that's nice, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Lachance?
No questions.
All right. Yeah, also very good news to know we're gonna be back up shortly. Next, report to council, phase 2 AMP revision, prepared by Pamela McCracken.
Okay, so bringing back the phase 2 AMP revision, the last one, the council had a few other changes. So I've made those changes in turquoise, so you see the 3 different colors for the 3 different phases. And then there were some clarifications that council had requested, which is in the report. Going through doing phase 3, again, we're actively working on that with the consultant and changing things as they go, updating things, correcting errors that we might go through. And again, we'll be rehashing this in 6 to 8 months and coming back to council with an updated version. So this is just to be compliant with the July 1st, 2024 deadline. So if council is okay with the revisions that were up to date, or council wanted to pass this one, so we could post it, be compliant, and then do a thorough final review and update everything to 2024's numbers, because that's when we're doing the 2024 for the next phase.
Yeah, it's like trying to shoot a moving target. Things are always changing. Any questions?
No, for myself, just, so it's due July 2020.
Phase 3 is
Yeah.
gonna be due July
So
1st.
do we need to review this, before it's due? Like, is it gonna be the same process as?
Yes, so when the phase 3 is done, it will come to council for review and approval. It's council that will be approving it in order for it to be officially activated. So yes, phase 3, you will definitely get.
Can we
chance
have
to
it like
review.
May or like, so it's closer, like, cause I don't want it to go back, like, this is what's been happening, right? We're so late with this.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna let council know that we will not make the July 1st deadline. When we started this process, I think in September, they told us that it was gonna be an 8 to 10 month process. With staff that is available, we told them that we are restricted to 2.5 staff, myself, the public works director, and the CAO part-time. So meeting that 8 to 10 month deadline that they already projected was going to be hard, so we knew going in that we would not meet that July 1st, 2025 deadline. There's no financial implications, there's no, issue with us not meeting it. Multiple municipalities, like a majority of the small municipalities are in the same boat. Some of them haven't even done their phase 1 yet. So it's not uncommon for small municipalities to be in the same situation because of the overall complexity of the program. And the next council meeting, we had brought the asset management policy for review in August, and council reviewed it and approved it, but it didn't officially get adopted, so we're bringing that at the next one. And there's a few things in there that I want to point out about council's participation in the process, because I think it is very important that some council members are part of the process as it's being done. So at that council meeting, we're gonna be talking about the policy again. The policy is different than the asset management policy, and kind of tells us who's responsible for what and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, we won't be meeting that July 1st deadline.
How close to it? I'm just thinking like, you know, like we're going into 2025,
Yeah.
2026 is going to be election year. I just wanna make sure that hopefully everything's done before. Like, I'd like to keep
Yes.
it that it's us.
Yes, it will definitely be done before the next election. I can forward the original timeline that the consultants gave to us. As far as I know, we're kind of on target with that. We have our bi-weekly meetings with our consultant to say, here's your next thing, and we're, you know, I think we're on target. So I think they were talking about September of 2025 is when we were going to meet that target line.
Okay, thanks.
Barring everything went according to plan.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Lopez?
No, I'm okay.
All right, Councillor Petit?
No, I was going through, there's, you know, as you say, there's quite a few that, you know, we could update, but it's gonna be updated in phase 3, the asset management plan anyways, right? So, yeah, the portions highlighted in turquoise. I wasn't sure if we should, have it be shed or accessory buildings or something. I don't know if accessory buildings was more,
Okay,
maybe a
yeah.
little bit more, formal.
Outbuildings.
Okay?
Outbuildings, accessory.
Yeah, so, yeah. Other than that, thank you. Nice report.
Okay. Councillor Deschamps?
I went through it and, I did see that the changes that we asked for were made. Other than that, I don't wanna keep adding more things every time because like I said, it is like a moving target, so, thanks for your work on it. On to the next one.
All right, so therefore, we're ready to approve this one. Thank you very much. Next item 6.23, report to council, potential 4-day work week policy, prepared by Denis Turcot.
Yes, your worship, from past discussion with council, it was identified that council would be open to a 4-day work week. So as such, to prepare to move towards that, I have this report in a draft policy. Again, this is a draft version. I reviewed it with the department heads. in terms of try to getting something on paper to at least start the discussion, because obviously this it will impact, union staff, so they have to be on board or not, because if they don't want, they want to stay on a 5-day, they can, but if they are going on to the 4-day policy, we would need to detail, the specifics of it. So in the policy, you can see that, I'm treating outside staff and office staff separately. There's operational needs, for the outside staff that is very difficult, very prescriptive. They can work 4 days, per week and not have, like, be off on a Friday. That is doable, because in summer there's no storm. They do usually big projects. In winter, it's just the opposite, is that, we can't control Mother Nature, so, the more spread out they are, the less risk that we are, facing with, overtime. And inside staff, the concern is always to have somebody covering, having the doors open, having sufficient staff. Because there's a limited pool of staff within the office, the target is always to have at least 2 staff at a minimum. Because there's always break coverage, the concern that you don't wanna leave, not that there's any significant risk, but you never wanna leave someone alone in the office or a customer and then the phone goes unanswered or items like that. So, as you can see, they're treating it a bit differently. Vacation, and coverage and overtime. I tried to think ahead. I've looked at the French River policy. I did take some information from there, but try to make it St. Charles, because we have an office, there's a different need. And also different sized municipalities. And this will be treated as a trial. So if council and union and everyone agrees to a format, this is a trial run, because it may not work in the end, and we may end up always short or after running for somebody to cover. So that's why the planning of the vacation, and if we're doing this, we have to start early to make sure that everyone is not like having 2 staff booking off at the same time, and then what happens on Friday when we need coverage. So again, union consideration, I did talk with the union rep. I told them that this was potentially coming down. Obviously, they are interested, and we'll have to consult with them, obviously, and he's thinking it would require a formal MOU, like not just, okay, you're starting at 7 money off, stuff like that, because there's a lot of considerations within this policy, whether we adopt it or not. This is, they may come back and say, we're not accepting this as a rule. Honestly, I'm running this as a trial. If council agrees, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We can treat it differently. So there are schedules in there. Again, it's for illustrative purposes only. Whether the custodian is off on the Tuesday or not is a typical schedule. We may have to alter that, but this is what we're tentatively looking at for a schedule. Statutory holidays. So to try to keep at least a minimum days open, if there's a vacation on a day, we're recommending that it be treated as a regular work hour week, so we can still be open 4 days during that week, because if we treat it as a stat holiday, we would only have staff available for 3 days, because especially in public works, office would still be spread out over 4. And also there's a financial consideration in terms of whether you're getting a 10-hour day off, or an 8-hour day off, or 7, depending on your inside. So by doing it this way, everyone is on the same page. Unfortunately, you don't get the extended. So again, it's just a suggestion that we're moving to simplify. And the rest is just the rationale for why we're doing it in terms of a policy. First consulting with the union, he says like, he didn't wanna do a big trial. He would wanna keep it at least like no more than 90 days, because if it doesn't work and it's driving everyone miserable, like, you can stop it. So the initial would be a 3-month. The only thing I would ask, is that we commit to at least a 3-month trial, to try to work out the bugs. And then we can evaluate as council, as outside staff, and management, whether it is, worthwhile continuing and pursuing. And the only, thing left is inside staff is, can maintain a compressed work week year round. But again, trial, that's the only difference from inside and outside, in terms of, items. So, I'm here just to put it on the table. If council, unless there's some glaring things that council wants off, this is the document hopefully we will be looking at to build consensus with the union.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Framboise, any questions?
I'm just wondering, I would like, before I approve this, I would like to go forward and discuss this further, like there's a lot of things that I'd like to discuss. So I'm assuming this would have to go in closed, right?
Yes, well, if it's specific, because this document, we got 2 months to do this document, so there's no rush. It's just, I'm trying to do this is the starting document. If there's something specific or person specific, yes. If it's position, it's open in terms of, does this person require supervision to stay beyond 5 o'clock type of thing? Is overtime limited, is bank time limited, is like.
And that's what I'm getting at, so I honestly think it should be a closed session. I think, for myself anyways, I wanna bring up, there's stuff that I wanna bring up, so, I'm just looking at it as information only for myself, because I would like this to be brought up as a closed session, so I'm not sure if we can do it tonight, or we could bring it forward for another closed session.
I probably would suggest the next one, and I could get the union input at the same time, because I'm thinking targeting this for the end of March, the March regular meeting, so 2 months from now, so we can start in potentially April. Sorry, I'm getting the months.
Like, it's easy to say we want 4-day work week, but I think we really need to look at staff hours, the bank, the, overtime, lunch period, break period. Like, I think it needs to be very detailed before I accept everything.
Oh, and for sure, and there's no way that I'm saying that this is, we just need to open the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to be very prescriptive in terms,
I
by
think
all
it needs
means.
to be very clarified, yeah, that's for myself anyways, so,
And
for me to accept it.
And in general, council can say this, and I can work on it, because also the union will also look at this and say they'll want, maybe we can bring a more prescriptive, detail, and that we can do what I was specifying. And if we need to go in terms of close, just say, if there's, I'm just picking numbers and show, if we don't wanna leave anyone alone at the arena past 5 o'clock. And just in general, to be not point specific there. But if council wants to be more specific on hours, I can definitely include more language to that. And then next meeting, if, because
It's just that
I wanna
going
bring-
into close also, though,
I'm not prepared for in terms of.
no, we're not prepared for it, but also I'd like to make sure that it is a meeting that meets the criteria for a close. Because if it's a meeting that is supposed to be happening in open, it has to happen in open.
Okay, so an example, can I bring that forward, what I wanna say, or?
If you do a general, like, a prescriptive break, so, say, the lunch break must be taken between 12 and 12:30, and staff must return to the office at 12:31, or back in the truck at 12:31, as an example.
Yeah.
That is an open discussion.
So request that I brought forward this week about bank time,
Mhm.
I wanna look at saving money, and I honestly think it's a red flag right now, all the bank time that we have as management. So I wanna bring it forward to, if we're gonna do a 4-day work week compress, we need to look at time, so there's no bank time during meetings and stuff like that. So that's what I wanna bring forward.
So a late start?
Because we have to look at
Okay,
money
yeah.
savings, like,
Yeah.
it's, for myself anyways, what I saw, what was brought forward, my
Yeah.
request, it's a red flag.
So in terms, that's an open discussion, because now council may say, we want alter the Wednesday, so the start time. We just gotta make sure there's coverage, and you don't wanna go more than 10 hours, so unfortunately, council meeting go 4 hours
Like I
sometimes.
know, like I was looking at the collective agreement, like I know that you have here, you can also have, split shifts. I think it's somewhere in the, for management. So we can look at that too, right? It's all little things that I wanna bring forward to make sure that we're saving money and doing compressed work week.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it needs to be closed, or can we go ahead and discuss it?
If that's the general nature, and then it's easy for me to maybe prepare language to, and then we can discuss it. And I don't think it needs to go into both, because that is if council wants to save money, that's the best way to do it, is that we put prescriptive, and if it's generally applied across the board, without, I won't even say this, I don't want to, if it's generally applied and this is the wish of council, then we can move from there.
For myself, anyways.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
What, do you have any sort of concept or visions of how you?
Well,
think it-
especially
Or do you
like-
wanna give Dennis a little bit of time to work with,
Like I brought it forward I was looking at my notes, I brought it forward to yourself, I think it was, hold on. Sure. Sorry. So,
what, yeah.
so just like, that is really bothering me, so I brought it forward in, December of, 2023, I questioned the bank time, and you said that it was pretty much, for meetings, and that, so if we look, we have you stated that we had 2 meetings a month, 24 months, but really it would be, 2 meetings a month for, 10 months, because really, July and August is, 1 meeting, and then December and January. So the way you had stated in December of 2023, you said about approximately 72 hours, and in the collective agreement here, it says 10 days per year. Obviously, we went over what was written, and then that's what I wanna know. I actually wanna know why we have so much bank time, right? So I know that we have to put into consideration the meetings, which I understand that's on Wednesdays, and we also talked about, in December of 2023, you also talked about procedural bylaw that should have been done, that maybe department of heads should only be at 1 meeting, or should be brought forward at the beginning of the meeting. That wasn't done either.
No,
So
that's
this
still
is
the-
all stuff that is really, like I said, it's a big red flag, because that's a lot of money for taxpayers to pay all of this that has been accumulating in the past year that I know of. And we went over of what was supposed to be accumulated, the bank time.
So at best effort, and just say council, it's not all money in terms of if we are, I'll take 4 hours off, bank time, so I'll just use myself, so if we, hopefully last no more than 3 hours tonight, and then I'll take 3 hours off on another day, that's the issue of the bank time, so it's dollar for dollar, so in theory it's a split shift, but it's accumulated in.
Because you're still not using your vacation time for your days off, so you're still getting paid all your vacation at the end of the year, so it's not dollar for dollar, it's kinda.
So at the end of the year, if you have that much bank time, you can, and
Oh,
it was mentioned that in one of the meetings that
And it
they
is
weren't
something.
even able to use all their vacation, so in that contract, at the end of February, if you don't use your vacation, you get a payout, so that's money. That's
Yeah, no.
money for the taxpayers,
And
and I have a problem with that.
No, and then for sure, it is and maybe a conditioning of a 4-day work week, but with the strict conditions of if these be met, and it's fair.
So on
for council.
Wednesdays, maybe they have to work till 10 o'clock at night, I don't know, we have to really look at this, because it's double. I'm not sure if I can bring up the numbers, but it's like altogether, the amount that was used over banked is 317 hours. Like, that's a lot of hours, so.
All right, so you've got something to work with
And now
on
we'll
that one,
include
and
it,
if we
and then
believe we need,
it could be conditioned on your 4-day, these are the conditions to be met.
and if we believe that certain discussions need to be happening in closed,
Because, yes,
Okay.
because there's certain things I can say right now that I don't want, because they're specific to people, I can say, well, okay, in this situation, what does council think? And I don't want to be specific to individual, but as in general, it could be well included in the policy. Well, technically, this will go, if the trial passes, it will go into the personnel policy. And in the personnel policy, that's where we speak about all this, and they could be, condition of this is this.
And to be honest, I'm curious to see, cause I know I've signed some, timesheets and stuff. But I would like, for my personal, I would like to sit down and look, to be honest, and see where all of these bank times are coming from. So,
if we're looking individuals, that is.
yes.
Yes, and that would be,
So at a later date, if permitted, I would like to sit and look at all of that.
Okay.
yeah, you know, again, it's fair, it's public funds, so.
That's it for me.
So that,
Yeah.
okay, so now we've got something to work with. Councilor Loftus.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Councilor LaFramboise said, and, to me, a 4-day weekday, as long as the work is getting done, the projects are organized, you know, that they're done on those days, that you're not running into overtime, and, you know, a 3-month trial, if that's what the union would like to see if it works. Like, I agree with the winter schedule, you can't management can be off 4 days, like they could work 4-day work week, but like Public Works, 5 days a week during the winter, definitely. I don't know how the union would agree that Public Works works 5 days in the winter, but we have office staff that would get 4 days, 4 days like management. So we either go union with an agreement that the union is gonna agree with, so maybe it would be summer 4 days a week and winter 5 days a week. And for management, I don't have an issue with 4 days a week as long as the work is being done and there's like at least 2 are covering the office at all times.
Okay, Councilor Buttsy.
No, I liked all the, you know, there's a lot of considerations being taken into this, as well as, you know, the employee well-being and stuff like that, cause, you know, going to 10s can also be detrimental to, you know, your mental health and everything, and you're not at home as much anymore, right? So, like, your evenings are kind of cut short a little bit, but you do get that extra day out of it, which is nice. I think the overall draft, like you know, see if it's a starting point. The statutory holiday portion, I think that one needs to be kind of looked at a little bit, cause, I don't know if modifying the whole work week is kind of the best way to go about it. I think, like, it's paid out the same way, like, you keep the work hours the same, and if, like, as long as it falls within, you know, any, agreements, right? Like, so if, you know, if they were to work Monday to Thursday and then Friday's a holiday, well, then they would just be getting paid either, I think it would be extra that, cause it's all like government mandated that we have to follow that. So it's either, I think it's either they're paid out Friday or they get another day off in lieu of or something. I forget what exactly it could be, but I think Councilor Chance might be able to speak more to that from the 4-day work week perspective, but, and then other than that, you know, as previously mentioned as well, you know, a lot of different discussions to be had, but, yeah, as long as minimum staffing levels is maintained, and I looked at how the, considerations were taken to have Service Ontario, well, they're here all week, and then, CAO and accounting assistant Monday, and then, closing off the clerk and treasurer on Friday. CDO wants to take the Friday emergencies for the week, before the weekend, but, yeah, no, it's, there's definitely, you know, we gotta start somewhere, right? So, I think the report, like, with some of the considerations being taken, we'll see where it takes us.
I can just add, we had a couple different opinions on the stat holidays. So yes, the ESA study, you're supposed to use a formula to pay out your Monday. So if it's a 10-hour day, you would get a 10-hour holiday. And the way I'm doing it, you would get an 8-hour, but it would be concession by the union. I'm sure I'm gonna hear from it. On that one, I was trying to balance out because there's still the union staff inside the office that will benefit from over the winter getting the bonus, but it's only one person. So she would be like Christmas and New Year's, she would get that extra 2-hour, technically bonus, because obviously if you work a 5-day work week, you would be paid your 7 hours, but if you're, get that, you would be your 8 3/4 hours to get the 35 there. Anyways, it was just trying to be fair. I expect that I will also get some feedback from union members and others. Because it's fair, it's like, they're gonna say no compressed or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, I mean, I know how it's gonna be where we'll get to a week where it's like, oh, are we working full hours or not? And then the office hours kind of change for that, right?
Yeah.
So, just to avoid a little bit of confusion, so I know that, you know, like I say, the one, different, hours or extra hours, but yeah, just to keep it simple, yeah.
And as we move forward, I don't think there's a need to extend office hours, so that may be questions for maybe version 2, whether council wants to consider extended hours on specific, tax due date, or a Wednesday a month where I know the bank tried it, where for the people that work that need to pay their taxes, that one day a week we're open to receive taxes. We're here anyways, but I don't want to start that one too fast because we don't even know if we can walk yet. So you gotta walk, and that may be something where I don't think there's a need to open an extra hour for 5 days, but it may be specific, like if we're going for Christmas, maybe
Yeah.
that is where we have 1 extra hours when we know we're off for like a Christmas break type of thing.
Okay.
But again, it's,
Yeah.
you gotta walk.
Perfect, thank you.
Councilor Deschamps.
Yeah, a few things to touch on, so for section 2, your vacation, overtime and coverages, just the last bit of the on page 151, the last bulletin, the last sentence there. Municipality will not unreasonably deny an employee request to stay on compressed work week where pre-scheduled activity would cause the employee a financial loss. Can you elaborate on this? Cause like, I don't, if you're on now on a compressed work week, where are you gonna see 2 weeks down the road or 3 weeks down the road, like, oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to have this time off, or?
So, and again, this is me thinking ahead, we can.
I just think it's
I'm thinking if-
dangerous language to have.
It can specify that we need, like, if you booked a vacation, you're leaving on Friday noon, and we're asking you to come in to work a regular 5-day work week, like, it wouldn't be fair to say, well, too bad, you canceled your trip, and this is what I'm thinking, maybe we can add more language in terms of, I don't know, or just take
This
it out.
language, if you're gonna put language like that in there, it should be as of this date, if any pre-existing, not, because if you don't have that language, and I know we don't have a date yet, but you should have put a blank in there, as of this date blank, because that's just a blanket statement in there, and that can be thrown back at us at any time in the future.
Okay, no, it's
And
fair.
you gotta, if you're putting language in, I know for us it's personnel policy, but when you're speaking union, collective agreement, you gotta be careful what you put down on paper. And as far as even discussions with the union, you're supposed to say in memorandum, yeah, that's nice, but I think the best way you could do this and approach the union would be a favor too, is you just put a sunset clause in, because we're gonna be negotiations in another year and a half.
Yeah.
Sunset clause, so that way there, at the time of renewal, it's not already a memorandum of understanding, it's already in there, it's a sunset clause, either party can drop it at any given time without having to give up anything else, or.
I tried to put language in, but I'd like stating it as a sunset clause.
Yeah, so that way there
There's no
is.
question that it's terminating after 30 days, only if agreed we continue.
And
to-
either party can terminate it
Yes.
at contract negotiation time
Okay, so-
without any
So
repercussions or.
this is page 115, bottom, update.
For 3 under evaluation period, add a note here just at the end, any adjustments to the policy will be made based on evaluation outcomes. So I put, I actually had to comment about bank time. Bank time should also be considered in this as it will help determine if the work is being performed, completed as it was previously. That was, I put that note in before we received the bank time, amount, that was it. That was pretty much saying if we see that this bank time amount keeps going up, that in a 4-day work week, we're getting higher bank time than we were in a 5-day work week, obviously, we're not able to complete our tasks. That should be part of your evaluation. And the other flip side of that is previously in the personnel policy was up to 10 days, so 2 weeks. Now we're going down to 4-day work week, so it should read up to 8 days because you guys don't do hourly, you do daily. So 2 weeks would be 8 days for those following that.
Okay, and then there was also a comment, I think we, depending, because days will get confusing, it may all get defined in hours, so we can work on getting that proper language.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that if someone's now working a compressed work week, and that they still can't, if they're compressed to 4 days a week, because certain positions will be more so than staff than union, because I understand with the summer, winter months and such. But if it's a 4-day work week, that language should be changed from 10 days to 8, because it's 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And also, seeing that that's in the personnel policy, I don't see how the numbers got so outrageous in that email that got sent to us, because it says in their max of 10 days, and it's well in excess of 10 days per employee, so that's something that, I don't know, got to look at, I guess, too. I had a note on, for the custodian labor landfill side of 10, I just didn't know if it was a position that was more beneficial to have 5-day coverage than 4 10s. I just didn't know, because the dump's not open for 10 hours,
No.
right? So for me, it was just, is it one of those positions, because it's kind of like a position where they're the go-to, you know what I mean, for a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't know if it was more beneficial as a 5-day or 4
And
days.
I think this is where everyone understands this is a trial.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and
Oh, yeah, I just didn't know if it was something that was just
Okay.
put in there as that, like, for as much thought.
because I know he has a lot of cleaning on the weekend, and 10 hours between the landfill and cleaning may be too much for him too, so. It's nothing that, because obviously his schedule is not 2 days off, because it just doesn't work. It may not work for that position, but the purpose of this trial is to find out is, yes, it works like a charm, or you gotta stay away from it.
For statutory holidays, I had a note here, might need more work on this, so like again, I think Councilor Pate touched on it, that's kinda, when you're going compressed work week, but you're split shift coverage, so you're pretty much, you're trying to have staff Monday to Thursday and then Tuesday to Friday, pretty much what I'm gathering, so split coverage, 5-day coverage, compressed work week. Like, a stat holiday is a stat holiday. The only language I would like to see there is a person that, just because you're not scheduled on the Monday, because a lot of people won't be scheduled on the Monday if that happens, or a couple people won't be scheduled on the Monday, they would observe it on the Friday or the Friday previous or something, right?
Yeah,
That you're not getting to overtime, and stat is a stat, because I don't think overtime is the route we should go, or banked hours if it's not necessary. Yeah.
Yeah?
Can I just clarify why we put that in there? So under ESA, your calculation is your hours divided by 20 days, so you get your per hour, so right, we would still be 70 hours, whether it's compressed or not. Divided by 20 days, we'd still get 7. So what the thing was that we were discussing is, if let's say I'm off on Mondays, or I get my Monday off, I would get paid 9 hours, because my work day is 9 hours, but really I'm only entitled to 7. So there'd be 2 hours of bonus that is given to to employees. So to avoid that, that's why we're saying you're only getting paid 7 hours through your stat, and you're gonna be losing that 2 hours. So to compensate for that, then you would work your 7 4 days, so you're getting 35 hours instead of the municipality always giving an extra 2 hours, because if you're talking about a person that's normally off on a Monday, you're doing the same thing on a Friday, you're still giving them that bonus of that 2 hours. So there's to kind of save the
Okay.
municipality money, because we wouldn't be giving 2 hours to everybody times our 11.
You're talking more, like, I was thinking more physically the day off, and you're thinking more of the financial impact.
Correct,
so-
because you would get you get 9 hours off.
So now you're gonna get 7 hours off, so.
So you get
still
paid
have to
7
come in,
hours on the
and
Monday?
Everyone will have to come in the Friday or the Monday.
Correct, so you get paid the 7 hours for the Monday, and then you would work 4 7-hour days, so you're
And
still
that's
getting
where
paid
that
35.
previous clause, the first thing I mentioned about unreasonably deny employee requests for stay on compressed work week where could cause employee financial loss, or that's where we get messy.
And again, let's fix it, and make sure there's proper fair language.
So does
Yeah.
that clear up the stat?
Yeah, it
holiday?
makes sense. I was
Okay.
thinking about you guys are trying to figure out how the day off is gonna work more than the pay.
No, it was the financial, because we didn't want, because the people who are most holidays happen on Mondays.
Yeah, and
So the people that would have Mondays off would always see kind of like the benefit, and then, and to not cost the municipality more money, because every stat they would be getting 2 extra bonus hours. That's why we were thinking, you're getting paid 7, and then if you work your other days as per normal, you're only gonna get paid 33 hours. So you're losing that 2 hours every day. If you wanna top up with your vacation 2 hours times 10 holidays, that's, you're losing 3 days of vacation. So maybe people don't want to do that, so that's why we were talking about,
charging them to
extending
come into
the-
their shift.
yeah.
Alright. The only other point I had was under 9, responsibilities to the CEO/management. I just added in there, I guess, is oversee implementation, address operational issues, and provide regular updates to the council. I just wrote, also if you provide detailed report for the review period, so I don't, it's planned, but just, it's gonna be in there, and by detailed, I mean like everything that I mentioned in my notes and the other councilors with their notes, I would expect that to be in the report. Other than that, I don't have any more comments.
Thank you very much.
Councilor
Councilor
Lachance said such
He
things.
took care of it? Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a good concept we have to look at. It's gonna help hopefully with retention and, because that's becoming more and more of an issue in municipal staff. So, but I think I like the concept of having this trial period, just to see, is it something that is functional for our municipality? Or is it something our size is just gonna prevent? So, we'll see.
I just one of the things, the clarification on the statutory holiday and everything, because, and also not adjusting the hours, even though, if it's 10-hour days or 9-hour days, keeping the office hours the same regardless. Yeah, that definitely plays in a little bit better into that, because then if you're not adjusting your hours on a, weekly basis for holidays, it makes it a little better, more consistent for, people in the community, so.
Were you thinking like me more the physical day than the?
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, because normally you just get the day or the other day. Yeah. So, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next, report to council draft video monitoring policy prepared by Denis Turcot.
Yes, your worship, as requested by council, we're looking, obviously, we move with technology and sometimes we install equipment, and we don't have the policy that follows through, so it was a great suggestion to have a policy to look at this. As I am not an expert in HR law, I went looking at policies that other municipalities similar to our size, what they have. This policy, not word for word, but very close to, did I put the name of the municipality? Was Huron, it's not Huron Shores, it's Huron Russell, it's Southern Ontario, but it's similar size municipality, obviously bigger. So I took, and I looked at a few of them, but I took this policy to see if this is what council was looking at. And then it goes to a variety of things, and on a side note to this, and to maybe get a bonus of saving money, we are switching to the Canoe benefits for the benefit plans for management. they also, as a side benefit, have, we can have 3 HR policies reviewed by them, per year. So this would also be one, benefit we have, and they also give HR advice, which I wasn't aware of when we were switching, so bonus on bonus. But that being said, this is I'm looking at this is what council was looking for in terms of, the diligence, and I know the piece that's very, even when I'm reading it, it is, what video, when can we use it, when is considering, Big Boss monitoring via camera, or when can we start an investigation? That one, even, I sort of understand if it's more, I don't wanna, if it's stealing pencils from the office, we could probably start an investigation. If it's, doing this and waiting for direction, we can't. It has to be manager there and assigning work and doing work. If it's stealing pencil, I'm picking stealing pencils because I don't think that we steal pencils. We don't use pencils, but, if that's something good, that's maybe considered a, theft in the municipality, and that would be, oh, okay, we're opening an investigation. There's still a gray area for me. This is one of the policies I love when we get this and benefit from, the policy. First question is, okay, this policy, where can we stop and where can we, pursue? And again, I know that was a question of, is it only when kids come in, well, I shouldn't say kids, when somebody breaks into a building and spray paints the building? Or can we say when somebody made off with a box full of crayons? Or pencils, sorry. Anyways, it's up for council, and it's, like I say, it's, looks pretty generic, and, obviously there's some, bit more. I know there were some questions by the mayor on language. I don't know, maybe you can address those. I do agree with them. The retention policy, I had put the capacity of the drive. The mayor wanted more of a fixed period. We have different hard drive capacity, different number of cameras, so one hard drive can hold almost a month's worth of video. The other one can only hold 2 weeks worth of video. 16 cameras versus 8 cameras. So, the language can be changed, it's nothing really specific. What was the other one?
I'd have to go back to my email myself,
I
but one was, I think the wording on, at what time is it permitted to, look into the, I can actually go back to the,
Well, anyways, I didn't wanna,
no.
because I know, yeah, and then I agreed with them, except with drive capacity for me, the more extend video, because of all the video systems, I captured a crime, somebody stole a fall over pot, crime. I caught somebody stealing a boat on private property, adjacent to the property. Police took the video, and obviously that issue was settled quite quickly. A flower pot was across the street. It was an accident. It was not stolen. It was given, but they took a bit more than was not allowing you to. Settled. We knew the person. It was settled quite quick because the video came into play. I think that was it. So my name was here.
I'll let the other staff go by, and if I'll maybe read what I have at the end.
I just want to clarify where exactly, we have cameras, so at the arena?
Yes.
Inside and outside, or?
Yes, the arena, all four sides of the arena are covered. The lobby's covered. There was one originally in the manager's office, only counter forward. We moved the manager's office, the camera's still in the food bank. That's probably something we switch over, but I don't think he's doing much cash transaction, because that was meant where he had the cash drawer, so it was shooting the desk and the client, and not the staff, so I didn't want to be sitting in somebody's back, so that was not the intent, it was stealing money. There's one in the hall upstairs, there's one in the ice rink, which there was a bent board, we found out who did the bent board. That was settled, a little tap on the fingers, please report. Again, there was a thing on the municipal vehicle outside. It's not meant, it's just, if there's ever a legal pursuit, we know, that it is an accident, obviously, and that's why this is gonna come into play, and when you can use it, and when, and there's none, well, I shouldn't say where there's not. There's no, in the smaller rooms, there's none except the committee, where they have the committee room with the windows, there's one in there. But all other little rooms, obviously, no, none, there's none in the change room, we don't wanna go through that video. There's none in the equipment rooms, electrical rooms, the Zamboni or the compressor. There's none in there. There's none in the canteen, but you do see that there's one in annual lobby. It sort of covers all the public areas, because obviously there's no intention of going anywhere where it would be assumption of privacy, change room being one of them. So, and that's in general where they are.
Municipal settles.
The community center,
yeah.
main hall, again, around the building. One faces the splash pad. Again, we've seen whether it's a dog pooping or an ATV running across the lawn. Unfortunately, the resolution of those cameras is, I won't go specific there. It's difficult to, at a distance. At the municipal garage, again, all four sides of the municipal garage, 2 inside. I don't think there's any in the lunchroom, because I think that'd be a problem, so there's none in there. They're all out in the open, there's no hidden cameras. The wellness center, 2 in the fitness center, which is basically, it's only unreported, and we would go look. We do not look on that one. That is only if there's a reported incident, and it's very controlled, that one, because I would still consider that a private room. If you're exercising, you're private. And this is where this policy comes in, and now we may have to specify specific rooms where it's highly, like, I don't even wanna watch that video.
Do we have one entering Unity?
Unity, all public areas are
Where's
monitored.
that?
Hallways, entrance, back stairwell, all around the building. We have none in the rented spaces. And again, except the gym, which, now that you're talking, I think I'm gonna have a little clause of where expected privacy, that it's not even shared, it's very per incident.
Interesting, yeah.
Because that one, I was like, I never watched it, I don't wanna watch it, and I have the password, but we have an incident, I designated the staff that was per incident, we will check. And that's the intent here, it's only per complaint, for the fitness center, and I think this, now that we're talking about it, this is an addition, and there's
Do we
no
have,
other buildings,
so the office here, do we have some outside
none.
and inside?
None.
Cause I'm thinking like at the counter and stuff, like maybe we should look into having, something at the counter?
We've
Service
discussed
Ontario
as
and-
staff, once in a blue moon, there's somebody comes in upset, usually staff are pretty good, in terms of making them laugh before they leave, that's our goal, if somebody comes in upset, it's like, we try, everyone's human, we all make mistakes, whether it's rough road or whatever, but yes, one in the public area,
I would consider having one, because if we're considering like at the arena and stuff, I think we should, cause a lot of people are coming in and out.
yeah. And around the building, there's an incident that we wanted to look around the building, I can't remember what it was. The cameras across the street will not discern, any incident, a dented vehicle. Somebody was stating that the municipal plow had dented a vehicle. Watching the video, there was no way to determine yes or no. There was sufficient space in the video to say, there's no way they're gonna hit it, but that was on the outside in the parking lot, because we do have a lot of traffic during the day. If we are putting some, I would do one for the public parking lot, just because of the
Yeah.
gains.
No, I agree.
Because
Like if we're looking at, if there's one camera not being used at the arena, like could we just take that one, like and bring it over and like,
I would say it's probably cheaper to install, because when we did this, there's better technology now. They're integrated online, so there's no more PVR, because that, the bit of, I don't wanna say too much. There's better quality video where we can do Face ID, where the other ones we have, unless you're this far away from the camera, you will, it's difficult.
exactly, yeah. So that, my suggestion would be to bring one outside here and one inside near the Service Ontario and the counter.
Okay, we can look at pricing and bring it back to a budget.
Okay.
There was one camera that was missed, there's one at landfill.
For me,
Oh.
yes, at the landfill, I have that.
And yeah, those are, they're not video, they're still at the landfill, so, but still, we found that, there was a regular visitor there. And other, which the staff is dealing with in terms of freaking shoppers.
Okay, so when you're, in the, policy, when you're, writing the department of heads, who are you referring to?
So I would, the director of
Okay, so
operation
that's what I'm getting at.
is responsible for all buildings
Yeah.
that are affected with these cameras. Except if you put it here, well then that could be either on.
Yourself or,
myself or anyone. The only thing, the clerk, designated clerk of the municipality is responsible for all documentation. So no matter what we do, the clerk always has a control of the record. They're responsible for it.
I
So-
would like to see like that change to director of operation instead of department of heads.
Okay.
And then, because she oversees all facilities and obviously all
Okay.
employees, I think she should be the one, like looking at the video if need be, or,
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's, when I put it down, it's only Michelle, or when I was reviewing it.
yeah.
Well, director of
I
operations.
just wanna make sure like the wording is proper, right? So-
Yeah, and I would also suggest that it would not be there, if she's off today, that it's automatically passed on to this.
No,
And that it may,
It's her.
it's her, or if she's gone for a week, she may, like say, then you have to check this date because of this incident, but that would be the only reason why it should be transferred over. So there's a clear control
Yeah. And I know in the past, it was brought up in the past about like looking at employees and stuff, and I know you've mentioned it here, I just wanna make it clear that we are not using this to, you know, investigate unless it's like,
and,
Reactive instead of proactive. you're trying to say?
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and again, we're, even the case of the stolen pencils, even at that point, you should be a supervisor on site.
Exactly.
Will come up. But obviously, we know what, there's a line somewhere that says, oh no, this crosses the line, we have to start an active investigation. Because
Yeah, and that's
obviously,
different, yeah.
at a certain point, you're no longer an employee, and I don't want to pick on employees, but you're no longer an employee if you do this. type of
Exactly.
thing.
Okay, Councilor Lopez.
No, I think that the policy looks good. I think it's essential to have these cameras in place so that it protects our property and it protects the public. I know even a lot of people around it that I've talked to, they've got those trail cams in their yards. Like, they just got them set up in their yards just so that, you know, they can see what's going through their yards at night. Most of the time it's animals, but, you know, I think that it's important to have something like that to make sure, and, you know, like, it's not to aim at any employee, it's just, they're there, and if, as long as we have a sign saying video surveillance, I think it deters people from doing damage, hopefully.
And they're well, just to add to that, they're well hidden, because I know the public say, if you ever need to know who's on the road, I got a camera on the road. So, obviously it's not, but if there was a crime, I would send the police over and say, maybe he has a camera.
Okay, Councilor Putzi.
No, thanks for bringing the report forward. I'm in agreement with the changes proposed by Councilor Jeff Boyce. in regards to like testing the cameras and stuff like that. I definitely like the idea of, you know, so as far as it goes for, the gym, is there already a policy in place for that one, or are we just gonna, you know, maybe add the language?
I'm gonna add language
Yeah,
for the
okay.
gym, because as we were doing it, that's the only one room
That it's like,
or where I would, even if it's public, and it's public space, it's still, I don't want to broadcast that.
Yeah.
Even though you go to the gym, there's big windows, but you know there's a big window. Here,
yeah. Yeah, no, other than that, for the most part, everything looks pretty good. Also, you know, I was discussing maybe looking at putting a couple more here. Something that, I had brought up in my report, about the conference, there's cameras that are actually made to mount on top of streetlights. So I don't know if, how our lights are set up, if they have a photocell directly on top, in that kind of style, but, something that could be looked at, you know. I found it pretty cool, cause you could use it for, you know, road monitoring or stuff like that, that was some of the uses that they had used it for, so, I was looking at saving our road monitor from driving around looking at roads. It's like, you know, if we have streetlights out in that area, maybe we could mount one of these to it. You can visibly see how much snow is falling and everything, but, that's a different discussion. But no, yeah, adding the cameras, it's, you know, it's always good to cover our bases and have, you know, public interaction areas covered, so, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilor Deschamps.
I like the recommendations brought forward. Only two things I have to touch on quick was, it's more general policy review. When there's new policies brought in, are all, is a review done with all management and all employees? And is there a sign off?
a new one, yes, well, I know a lot, like, we just went through the regular policies for harassment, privacy, and stuff like that, those. And if we had the condition of a yearly review, we should add it within the bottom of the policy that this policy shall be distributed and reviewed by all staff. Because obviously, wherever there's cameras, this policy will be distributed, but if we don't have a sign-off policy, it's just another one pinned on the board.
No, well, that's the thing, like, it's a good practice that all policies have a sign off. It protects, it's proof that everyone reviewed and everyone was aware of.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was go keep her.
Okay. So I just, if something going forward, like, when you review policy,
Yeah.
signing off is good. And if it's something that you have to include in your hiring package, those policies that are to be signed, it's a good place to put them, so you don't forget to have them signed off.
We were actually the clerk's in the process right now.
Yeah, the standard operating procedure.
Yeah, mine's printed and on the desk, not signed yet, but anyway.
So, yeah, also, just making sure that, like, because in the case again, with, say something were to happen with an employee and then the union, we were to step in and that's gonna be one thing, well, where's your policy, where's the signature, where's the acknowledgement, by this employee that they're being
Yeah,
served?
and
You can have a sign up that says, smile, you're on camera, but it's no,
Yeah, some people,
Nothing
like,
to
no consent, right, so it's just, and just echoing, the second thing I was bringing was echoing up the gym, I assume you already have something like that inside the membership, I've never signed your membership, obviously, but, inside the membership, usage policy or whatever, does it state anything of the camera in there, because it might be.
we have a poster
There's
up.
a
There is,
poster.
I think there is in the written,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Yeah, I know there's a poster in the gym, but I don't know if it's something that.
In the product written policy.
In
We'll
the
double check.
written, like,
Yeah.
cause you're already getting their signature on the agreement, it just food for thought if we're
I'm pretty sure
CYA
there is.
kind of thing,
And assure everyone that it is not everyone with popcorn at noon. You don't wear near the intent of that camera, it's strictly for abuse of equipment and potentially liable to if somebody gets hurt.
The only difference is the wellness center, people are going in there on their own accord to do whatever they have to do at the rentals. So we're just monitoring the halls, but they are renting off of us to use the gym, so they're paying us for that, so I feel like that's something that should be in there.
I just like to say, there was one consideration, when we installed the camera, there is no camera on the last tenant on the hallway upstairs. It was purposely to avoid anyone going, if somebody goes into public health, they could be going for a water test
Right.
or whatever. The last tenant on that floor does not have video surveillance at all. We don't know, past the bathrooms where they go past that point, and going back to their, so just like, also that's
just
something that was put in
charging them
originally.
for, like, you know, that they're paying to use that room as a service, like,
Yeah,
like
so,
even like the community center when, in the rental agreement, that should be something in there too, like this, just noted like, oh, there are, yeah, there will be surveillance, yeah, your event could be, we could pull up the recording of your event if need be or something.
No,
It's just
that's
CYA, it should be in there and for the arena too, when they're renting the hall, just, sorry, I know it's a little bit of work to throw into those balls, but for going over this policy, it's good to,
So actually, Intact Risk Management just reviewed our hall rental policy, I'll see if they picked up on that. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
either way, just little
Yeah.
things.
Okay,
Sorry. I just have a question, a lot of these like policies, are they, so like say whenever this one is released, approved and released, this is something that's accessible to the public, like from at the front desk, I'd assume? Cause I know before we had the Civic Web and we kinda had policies generally available on there.
yeah, because they're hitting public areas. Maybe a good policy is that be posted on the board.
Well, I'm just thinking for like publicly available policies, like I know some are probably, like some are more, like closed session or not, maybe not closed session, but like not
Internal
public.
matter.
Yeah, they're internal matter, yeah, I'm just trying to think, cause I mean, we have, I know when we walk into the arena, we have a big binder of policies there, but it's not like something that's accessible online, right, so.
yes.
For your worship. So every employee has been given a policy binder, which is, and you all have them as well. So when the new policies come out, we ask our admin staff to distribute that. We've also started, I'm not sure if you've noticed, if you go on the website, there's the page that's, frequently requested bylaws, we added and policies, so we are starting to add some of the more public-facing ones that should be, so we are starting to add them there
Okay.
as a,
Perfect.
if you can think of some that aren't there and should be there, please let us know,
Okay.
we will add them.
Sounds good.
Because it's something we're just starting to do, because they weren't, once Civic Web went, they weren't.
Yeah, cause I know we have like a helmet policy, helmet use policy, like just some of the random things like that, right? And I was just,
Yeah,
that's one that
good
comes to mind, it's one, it's not like it's not a internal policy, it's one that's a public policy, so I think anyone that isn't internal only, you should be kinda, yeah, makes for a big database, but, yeah.
That's not
I know
promise.
it's not about the policy, but she brought up Civic Web. I know it was brought forward to me, people wanting to look back at, meetings, where do we go from there? Like they can't access,
They can always request them from me.
so we'll never have them added, or,
Only because you start adding like 20 years of meetings.
so you weren't able to, like,
So we went back to 2021, I think,
Okay.
Anything past that, I think it says right on the website.
to request. Okay.
Yeah, and I just had a few little items in there about, I think somebody mentioned it, who grants authority and how is the authority, the whole process of how is it decided to grant authority to go look at a video? And, but I think it was mentioned, like if it's vandalism or crimes or something along those lines. At one point, it was saying a retention was as storage permitted, it was, in my mind, okay, that could be like 5 hours or 5 months. I said maybe we should have a time frame on there. And the other item was, something about improper conduct, that the sentencing was, I didn't like the way it was stated. The municipality will not use digital recording to discover improper conduct. I said maybe the municipality will not use digital recording to actively search for improper conduct. So, but if they're looking at a vandalism and all of a sudden they see something on the side, the reason the active for, the reason for the looking into the video is because of the vandalism or whatever. And if something is seen on the side, well, that's not an active search, but it's a discovery. And the process after that is, it's, as you stated, has to be started, what did you say, a search or a?
Yeah, there has to be, like, there would be a reason for looking at video. It's not just, oh, I have nothing to do, and then the next half hour, I'm just gonna flip through videos.
Yeah.
But again, the difference between somebody doing this and somebody stealing this is,
Yeah.
there's a gray line that we'll
Yeah.
figure that one out.
So that was it. So we're all good with this one? Okay. Okay, moving ahead. Item 6.31, public health unapproved minutes. It says for information only. Any comments for that one, Councilor?
No information only.
Councilor Potier?
Yeah, informational.
Councilor
For
Chance?
informational.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, report Parks and Rec, item 6.41, grant for park, prepared by Denis Turcot.
Yes, your worship. As we progress, council always, or committee, mentioned that we want certain items in the park. If you remember last year, I had a little breakout diagram, a map of the park, where gazebo would pass. So normally the process for a grant, if there's financial consideration, it comes to council. Obviously, because I need permission, if it's a 50-50 grant, no sense of applying for a grant, council's not on board. Grants like this is basically I'm just doing in-kind work, where I'm suggesting that we just dig out the soil, bring in the gravel, and no cash contribution, no financial. It was applied for last year, and it was a very quick turnaround, and obviously it worked in my favor in this time because I got in, because usually quick turnaround, I'm not the only one that can't make deadlines. So this particular one, as mentioned, and I know it's been in the past, that where the new splash pad is, there's no shelter. The shelter that's existing, we will do some TLC, remove the concrete and put some chipping stones. So and that would be maybe for the, we won't remove it. I suggest not to remove it. It would be for the pickleball. That will opening as soon as we can get the paint down in the spring. And my idea is, because if we're doing the road with a sidewalk going to the splash pad, if there would be a path linked to the middle sidewalk. So that would be the intent of the path. Because of the significant increase in asphalt, it may have to be into the crusher dust or another material where somebody with a walker or chair, a wheelchair can roll on it. But if we can do it asphalt from the road to that path, and then hopefully figure somehow to bring it out to King Street. I don't have enough money, but $13,000 for that, after experiencing the asphalt on the pickleball court. The prices just shot right up. The gazebo, I had priced out a generic 5x5, and this is concrete base. We're trying to be imaginative and try to make it a bigger, like, the Costco $5,000, it's an 8x8, it was timber 6x6 post. There are fancier ones, but I would suggest, because this is a park that maybe be sent to committee to determine the best solution. Last year we decided, or it was recommended, that any future playground would be south of the pickleball court, and that I would suggest that the gazebo should be somewhere there. It would benefit both the seniors that want to come and be in the park among the kids, or the families going there would have shelter, so they would be able to sit there and enjoy the park as it intended, because right now you're sitting in the sun there. And the rest is pretty straightforward. Drainage pipe, and a couple benches and a table. Unfortunately, picnic table is $2,500. AODA compliant now. It's, if you can get me a better price, or get 2 or 3 of them, or get a welder that could put one together for half the price.
What,
Yeah, that's the one we have for the Summer Bay Park. It was like, for AODA compliant, $2,500 for one table. And the bear proof garbage can was $2,000. It's like shaking my head. So it's all good news. This is no financial impact other than dedicate some public works time to work this. I've already spoken to the director of operations, and she sees no problem fitting into this year's schedule. And hopefully that we can do something that the residents will be proud of.
Okay. Question, comment?
And then for myself, great job in putting the application in. This is great news for us.
Yeah. Council Loftus?
Yeah, it is great news, and it's gonna add to our beautifying our public area for young and old.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councilor Petit?
Thanks for bringing forth the successful grant application. I just did a quick search on some AODA compliant picnic tables, and there's actually some from Uline for a decent price. I'm sure there's some shipping costs that, but they're around $1,500. So, yeah.
you mean,
Better.
you like goes to Granger and Sudbury?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that'd be definitely some benefit there, and there's some pretty nice ones. But so we'd be looking at putting some near the splash pad, but then also possibly some near the pickleball court and stuff like that, right? So I think that's definitely a good benefit. And the gazebo, when you're saying 5 by 5, right, by 5 meter.
Oh, no, the post is 5 inch by 5 inch.
Okay. I'm like 5
It's
by 5
not
feet.
the aluminum post type of thing. And I know I was talking with the fire chief, so we can build it ourselves, make it bigger. And then I talked with the CPO civil engineer. So if you also know an engineer, we can build it ourselves, but unfortunately, we may be stuck buying off the shelf where they're pre-engineered.
Architect maybe.
I suggested that, and she said engineer, but an architect wouldn't make it through, because they calculate the snow load. We don't want something falling in the winter and losing it. But again, this is a community project, and I would encourage,
Yeah.
or we can save money and do it better. We can stretch this money and get more of it.
I'm definitely in favor of bringing forth some other committees and people who to get them involved in this. So the Age Friendly Committee and other senior groups definitely would be a benefit, and they could have some good input on that as well, right? So maybe it's as simple as we could have a committee meeting in the near future regarding this and move forward with the project, and we can invite some of those groups to the committee meeting. Yeah. Otherwise, we could also, we've been getting pretty good at surveys lately. Maybe we could put something quick together regarding this. Yeah. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Lachance?
Yeah, no, I agree, it's great grant to have. I do think that the money can be, I don't think that any of these, the amounts here that we have set aside for any specific thing is very, we're stuck to it, because things can be cheaper or more expensive, you can save money on picnic tables, but when you're talking about lighting in the area, I don't know where you're gonna get lighting with your shade trees and everything for $3,000, unless you're talking about, little solar lights or something, but if you're planning on bringing power over there in a panel,
Yeah, I was thinking solar light potentially around the gazebo, so if you stay later at night, that there's a bit of lighting. Unfortunately, we're not running power. Electricians are too expensive.
Inspections. But I think that, like what Councilor Pate said, if we had a rec committee meeting regarding this, and we could reach out to other committees in the municipality, and maybe somebody knows an engineer, or, I don't know, we could talk to that at that point, but I think,
Yeah, we'll get corporate donations of lumber, and we'll build with the lumber, and then engineer stamp, so, or architect will do, but you just wanna make sure it's an architect that will figure out the snow rules.
Okay.
This is liability risk.
All right, so, good news, I'm also very anxious to see what we're gonna be able to create with that money. All right, so item there for, 651, this is a application from Sudbury's Planning Board, for a property that is being severed, for information only. Yeah, okay. Protection to persons, 661, report to council. Fire hall improvement water reserve prepared by Denis Turcot.
This is the confirmation, it was brought to council last year that, we have concerns about the impounded water of the fire hall. So we finally got the paperwork signed. So just letting council, this is to confirm that council is on board. He knew of the, and I let council know, of the impending strike. Staff, I proceeded to sign the document and send it in. And I said I wouldn't spend any money, we haven't spent any money. And I received the signed copy back. So we are legal to continue as long as council is agreeing to fund the 20,000, which is coming from, mostly from reserve. So, it's not a concern on the budget. And the fire chief will be taking charge of this project, so he will, he knows what he wants in terms of like the storage capacity, and, it's gonna be an electric pump where you flip the switch and you have water at a pipe. Where before they had to drag out a gas pump, crank, and then figure out I forgot to flip the gas switch on, and then you have water. So now it's gonna be plug the truck and you're gonna get water. So, that is going to be a big, improvement for the water in the village area. I think it was mentioned not too long ago, that's an important part, of this. And the rest are just, improved insulation and, AODA compliant washroom. It's just making it, because obviously AODA is limiting one because it's not really a public building, but certain firefighters may need accommodations, so, because usually to be a firefighter, you have to be physical fitness, but still, we're gonna widen doors and make it, the shower stall, if ever you're in soot, you're not driving home dirty, you're not supposed to be in soot, first of all, but in the event of, we're gonna have a proper room where there's plenty of elbow space. And upon that, it's still good news, it's $180,000, we put $20,000 in. And the fire chief will be all over this as soon as, we get the tenders back, and the next will be council receiving tenders for approval on this amount. He's hoping for as early as possible, so we'll probably be looking about a month and a half from now, March meeting, April meeting, we should be receiving and deciding on tenders.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so of course I'm in agreement with, to confirm the agreement. The only question I have is, the second paragraph, that council authorized municipal portion of the grant to be included in 2025 capital budget. Wasn't that already included in the 2024 capital budget? So why are we adding it again to the
Auditors?
So, and then the 2024 budget, it was withdrawn, or supposed to be withdrawn from reserves. So since we didn't do the project, it wasn't withdrawn from reserve. So in 2025, we have to approve to be withdrawn from reserve again.
Okay, so we're taking it from the reserve, we're not adding another, okay, no, just wanted to clarify, perfect, okay.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Loftus.
No, I'm totally in agreement.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Pelletier?
Just one question, I have to go back on maybe on old reports, but were we increasing the capacity at all, or we are, right?
Yes, we have, I was talking with the fire chief, we're thinking one big tank, but because of size, we're gonna keep 2 tanks. And I will let the fire chief explain the capacity, because it is more capacity, and they're gonna be interconnected, they're gonna be, like I say, on an electric pump, and then you can also do gas pump if in a power failure. but I'd like to keep the specific on, like, the flows per second, because he's all gung-ho about filling the truck in 8 minutes, rather than 10, 15.
Sounds good, perfect, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Deschamps?
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. I just wanna make sure that, we don't get stuck on bells and whistles, and we consider all options when it comes to getting our bang for our buck, and as far as what we can get inside of it, but, yeah.
Okay. More good news, so, yeah, the 20,000 from reserve is not gonna impact our budget. Thank you very much. Next report, item 662, grant to convert analog radio into two-way system, prepared by Denis Turcot.
I can probably do it by heart, I just want it on the screen. There we go. Again, with grants, sometimes they're quick turnarounds. So this one came last fall, and again, there was no matching funds required. So basically, it's a straight out grant. It was for emergency management, so I discussed this with the CMC, I discussed this with the fire chief, and with department heads. In the grant itself, the condition, there was very limited of what we could have considered. And the best fit was to, we have all analog radios, and as we know in this world, everything is turning digital. Our neighbors are digital, they still have an analog, but if you're on a fire scene, will they switch to, because we have joint, so if they're digital and you're showing up with an analog, somebody has to physically take a radio or have one on scan to pick up the analog signals. So the fire chief has already converted a few of the vehicles. This will convert all the portables and the remaining. And we have dead zones. So the other thing on this, we have to address dead zones. So one of the original option was looking at co-locating on a higher tower within the village area. Talking with the fire chief, he proposes to, we have two options, because obviously if you co-locate an antenna on a third-party antenna, right now it's free with Net Spectrum at the fire hall because they're using our land. And we were thinking of using the higher tower from True Radio 2, but there would be a sitting fee. So the fire chief has two options to avoid costs, because obviously we're going to look at that as an option. Higher up, you'll reach the ends. Net Spectrum already has a tower in the west arm, so we can strike a similar deal with them at no cost for sitting fee or very limited. It would cover those dead zones in that all section of area. And if that all fails, repeaters on pickup trucks. So you park a pickup truck, you park it there, and it repeats to the higher tower. You put the pickup truck high, and you'll cover all the dead zones. So if it's too costly on an ongoing basis to ask for an antenna to sit up there, we're proposing, and as we progress to this application, I'll come back to council, because obviously, do we want to enter an agreement for X amount of dollars to have an antenna sit there? It won't be covered by the grant, because every year it'll come back, you owe us $200 a month forever. We might just say, let's just use repeater, or if we could strike a deal with Net Spectrum and have one in the west arm, it may also help us when we're doing mutual aid calls with French River. We'd be able to reach back right up to St. Charles to talk to the equipment here. Where right now, once you pass the west arm, you're basically no show. So it's good news. It's $48,000 and 774 cents and 51 cents. We will also convert the public works fleet to digital. So in case of an emergency management, we're working as a team on the same radio channels. So that is our goal. Again, repeaters, we may consider one for public works if need be, but it's mostly for emergency. But it's all good news, especially if we do the repeater in the west arm. Now, those sketchy areas where you got right on top of the hill, you should have full coverage in that area. And again, no matching funds, so that was an easy one.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councilor
Again,
Framboise.
great news, thanks, and I'm in agreement with the recommendation.
Okay, Councilor Loftus.
Yes, I'm also in agreement with the recommendation.
Councilor Batsi.
I'm in agreement with the recommendation, as far as going on a couple different towers. You mentioned there might be others, by Net Spectrum than the one in West Arm. I don't know if you've found any information on that, or if that's the only other tower.
So I'm reaching out to, I don't know if council's aware, the ownership of Trudeau 2 did change hands.
Yeah.
So that company had multiple towers. But Net Spectrum does have other towers in the area. And I know there's Bell Towers, but I'm not going to the Bell Tower because they're gonna start at $600 a month or more. And I'm not interested in nor there. So my only concern is somewhere in Hager. Again, there's a Trudeau 2 tower there, but those are the consideration we may consider.
Yeah.
But I'd rather go potentially for the low cost one and Net Spectrum on the West Arm, rather than the $600. We can use mobile repeaters when we're out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in agreement, getting a mobile repeater on, possibly a vehicle from Public Works as well, because if you need all your fire department trucks running around for some reason, well, then you need that extra truck. It can definitely come in handy at the end of the day. It's all gonna fall within the grant funds, I presume, as long as they can be stretched.
Yeah, strategically, if, let's say there's a massive forest fire at that end of town, way in Beaupalon Road, they barely can reach back to town. Then you would park, say the Public Works, not Public Works, the Parks and Rec pickup truck on top of the hill, midway, then you would have clear signals all the way around there. That's the benefit of a mobile repeater, because you could be way in the bush, and if somebody gets injured, I know cell phones don't really work well either there, so.
Yeah. And yeah, and the change in digital, that's great, thank you.
All right, Councilor Deschamps.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is if it was, like a route over repeater, I would like to see them go with the route of one that's not fixed to any certain vehicle, because like one that's mobile, I can go from vehicle to vehicle.
Oh,
Because
Sure, you make them.
yeah, like for like boxer truck, because if we have an unfortunate event in one of our
a mobile
vehicles
repeater.
is mobile, and, yeah, a transferable repeater. But yeah, so if that said vehicle would be in the shop or something,
In my research, I did see one on tripods.
yeah, you can put them in the boxer truck, you can,
The
All kinds of
one thing I don't like on tripods, yeah, legs.
yeah.
That's the only thing on tripods. We need a camera.
Thank you very much. More good news. I like hearing the good news.
I like elections.
All right, next item. Item 671, report to council hot and cold meal program. Pamela McCracken.
Okay, so this is just for information for council, the rent, so just the background of this history. We received a grant to run a hot and cold meal program. We outsourced it to a third party, Ada Senor, who ran it. They collected funds for it, but the program itself was funded through grant. So when that program ended, all the funds that they collected gave back to the municipality. We held it in reserve to keep the program going, under the stipulation that it was not to cost taxpayers any funds. So at the end of 2023, DSAB had generously gifted us $5,000 towards this program. However, there are stipulations that for people who are allowed to use that. So we offered a discount to low income that meet the parameters of DSAB. So the cost of a meal is $12. If you meet the requirements of DSAB, your meal is $6. So every time we sell a meal to a person that qualifies, we get to use $6 of that $5,000, okay? So at the beginning of this year, with the contributions from DSAB and the leftover money from the original program, we had $6,838.81. The organizers of this initiative also secured financing from another program for seniors. So if you were a senior, you were able to get $6 off your meal. If you were a senior and a low income, your meal was ended up being free between the two partnerships. So, as you can see, the cost of the program ended up with a net loss of $2,824.14. However, $2,736 of the DSAB money that we received would go to offset that. Okay, so then it would leave us with a net loss of $88.14, and we would take that $88.14 from the reserve left over from the original program. So is a net loss, it's a zero loss to the municipality, and at the end, we still have $4,014.67 in the reserve to offset future losses and part of that $6 from DSAB. Unfortunately, right now, the funding for the seniors from the program that they did, they ran out of funds, so until they get their new budget in April, they have decided not to continue funding that other $6, but they're looking to continue it with their new budget coming up in April, so we're still hoping for that and in talks with that. So it's just information for council and public to know where we stand and that it is not costing the taxpayers money. Any questions?
Okay, I would like to add one more item, just so that the average amount of meals served, it's gone up to about 160 meals delivered in one day. But right now they're averaging about 120 to 140. So it's being well used, and they're also running some fundraising activities. Any questions?
No, thanks for the report.
No, thanks for the report.
It's great to see all the breakdowns like that. It really brings it into perspective. It's nice to see that they're for the most part they're cost neutral. I mean that's great to see. Operating loss of $80 I think is pretty minimalistic at this point. So and hopefully so what was it? So for the next couple months the seniors discount of $6 won't be able to be applied. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. I think for the $6 it's not too critical hopefully, but perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, Grant, it's a great program to have. I'm glad to see that it's doing well, and all this isn't possible without volunteers, so again, shout out to them, and thanks for the report.
All right, thank you very much. Next item. St. Charles Public Library Board minutes. Any comments?
Information only.
Councilor Lopez?
Information only.
Councilor Potier?
Information only.
Mr. Chancellor?
For information only.
All right, thank you very much. Therefore, we're at the section where we're going into close. Can I have a mover and a seconder to go into close? Councilor Framboise, Councilor Lopez.
Moved by Councilor LaFramboise and seconded by Councilor Loftus. Be it resolved, the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby opens a closed session at 7:43 p.m. to discuss labor relations or employee negotiations as authorized under section 239, bracket 2, bracket B of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Topic number 1, changes to the non-union salary group.
All those in favor? Carried.
We're back on.
We're back on. Can I have a mover and a seconder to reconvene? Councillor Potier, Councillor Lachance?
Moved by Councillor Pelletier and seconded by Councillor Lachance, be it resolved that having dealt with all matters pertaining to the closed session, we hereby reconvene to the committee of the whole meeting at 8:47 p.m.
All those in favor? Carried. During closed, we discussed changes to the salary grid that will be presented at the next meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn? Councillor Lachance, Councillor Loftus.
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Loftus, be it resolved that the committee of the whole meeting of February 5, 2025 be adjourned at 8:47 p.m.
All those in favor? Carried. Meeting is adjourned.